lab. This area right here, I believe, that's the middle school custodian office, and there's a AIS classroom. That's a partition that the district put up, so that could possibly be taken down, and that would provide you the instructional space for kindergarten classroom. If you look at this classroom here, this used to be a special ed classroom, so even though there's a wall there, that wall is no longer there. That could be a kindergarten classroom to the size requirements. Then where would we put the other elementary classroom? We have bathrooms located in this area here, but this whole area of the building from about here over is built on a slab.
Right.
So to put a bathroom in there, you're talking some work. Bathrooms up here, Mr. Mockery, Mr. Brill, help me out. This, I believe, is fifth grade area.
Fifth grade wing.
Yeah. Fifth grade wing.
There's a bathrooms that are dedicated to that.
Right. Here you have the library media center. There's a server room. Right back here, the auditorium. Comes to the cafeteria. This preparation area is a little bit small. I think the largest preparation area is probably in the elementary school. High school is a very small area. You have the gym. You have, I think, 2 band rooms, music rooms back here.
Right.
You possibly looked at those as possibly UPK.
The band rooms in front of that.
These are 2 music.
Yeah.
Okay. You have the pool here. You have the loading dock, the boiler room. You have a, I call it the shop, which I am familiar with. And here is the instructional area for shop technology. And the locker rooms and things like that. But this does present one phys ed site and another phys ed site with your athletic fields here, you have a loop here, you have your parking here, the buses come in here, and then you drop off here. At the second level, you can see there's a lot of classrooms. There's I believe it's auxiliary gym here, which is your third athletic phys ed site. And then you have all your classrooms. In here, a large foreign language classroom. You have a family and consumer science home and career. You have an art classroom. So again, there could be some reconfiguration to downsize some of these rooms if we needed to add another classroom there. But the one concern here is if you're going to 3 kindergarten classrooms with a space requirement. You have one here, no cost, basically taking the wall down, minimal cost. This wall doesn't exist. Where do you put? If that was to go here in the library media center, then the library media center would have to be repurposed somewhere else in the building. But then you still have to, I mean, you wouldn't have to, but if the desire was to put bathrooms in those classrooms, which is not required, you wouldn't have to do it because you have the bathroom space there, or you would have to put the bathroom space in there, have plans, have it approved by the SED. Now they've indicated that they would probably have a window of probably 4 to 5 months, if any decision is made by the board, to do any construction plans, estimates, and then going to SED for approval. Because the window is much shorter now, because usually it's a year-to-year window. And as I've shared before, you know, with the financial situation the district's in, looking at significant amounts of money, there's not one thing that's going to solve the situation that we're in. It's going to have to be a combination of things. So where you can create efficiencies, whatever that efficiency is in terms of dollar, and put that onto the ledger there, say, all right, we have something here, something there, whatever those other issues are, whatever those other areas are, to get us to the number that we need to get to.
Well, like I said, I think there's some possibilities that I explore and do some research what other districts are doing too, but I think there's some more creative things we might be able to do. I guess if the middle school was bigger, but the elementary school was designed for the youngest kids,
Yeah.
just starting, and it just makes so much more sense to start those little ones out in an environment. I mean, if we have to have teachers rounding up the kindergartners to walk them down to the bathroom 47 times a day, you're going to lose a lot of seat time.
That's if you go to a footprint like this at the middle school.
Mhm.
If you stay at the,
Stay at the elementary, it's not an issue.
Yeah.
So I'd really like to get together again with Scott.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not available the 13th or 14th. What day is the 12th?
12th, I believe, is a Wednesday.
Is
What day is the audit? Is that week?
So, I
I
don't,
never print my
One of them,
calendar.
3 days.
No.
Yeah, I don't have my
they
calendar.
don't have a calendar on them.
Yeah.
Okay. October 12th, okay, the audit has to be done this September.
Somebody says
Right.
audit closes.
I think the audit meeting, I'll have to check my calendar on that, but he said he was available one of those 3 days. Now, on the audit committee, there's Mr. Well, pardon?
Joe and Kelly.
Okay, on the audit committee. So we would have to look at the calendar to cross that
I
out.
think it's at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I think it was 5 to possibly 7, and we could
Take
piggyback.
like an hour, 2 hours.
It's an hour.
Yeah, an hour.
An hour or less.
So we could piggyback right off of that, but Mr. Jones will not be able.
Available.
I know, but Mr.
I'm on the 12th,
Right.
13th and 14th, but I know I've already Is the 12th Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yes. And I told him I would get back with him as soon as possible so we can pencil that into his schedule. So, I mean, with your pleasure to be,
I don't know, I don't have my calendar with
Okay.
me, so I don't know.
We can let you know in the morning.
Yeah.
so we're looking at, I mean, the primary won't be probably the 12th, right?
Oh, so that's like 7, so that we went over, I mean, because you get 5, if we're going to over, we're going over.
In the
The
meantime,
audit
I'd
would be
really
an
like
hour.
to.
Pardon?
The audit committee would be in order.
Yeah.
30?
So the audit, 5 to 6:30, and the facilities, 7.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's going to happen with the athletic fields at the middle school? If they don't use the middle school, or high school still going to be down there?
Well, I mean,
Or
I
aren't we
think what
gonna-
we've talked about is, we'll still own the property, we'll still be able to use the field, but the kind of deficit we're looking at, who knows what's gonna happen with the athletic program? I mean, there's an
That's what
awful
I'm
lot
asking.
up in the air right now.
That's what I'm asking, if there isn't.
That's
Well, I-
$250,000 we're spending on athletics,
Well,
Open that transportation.
well, you know, with
and
the,
more with the transportation to get kids to various games.
I mean, with,
It's a big chunk of money.
just to share with the facilities committee that, you know, with a closure of the building, you still, receive building aid on that building.
As long as you own it and occupy it, correct?
No,
To some degree.
no, as long as you own it.
Okay. You don't have to occupy any portion of it.
Doesn't have to occupy. Now, if there's something happens to that building and it's not occupied for instructional space, just district office, if you need to put a new roof on that, then you're not going to generate building aid on subsequent projects. You know, in the event that the district could find a buyer, then there'd have to be a calculation of what the district owed on that property, and any proceeds from that would have to be used to pay off the new notes, because the notes are really owned by the bank. But that's way, way down the road. But the athletic fields, Holland has a very, very fine tradition of outside athletics, and softball, and track, and soccer.
And we're looking at a huge deficit.
Right,
I mean,
I know.
the party might be over.
I know that,
You know?
but again, you know, those sites could still be viable, because we maintain them now, and there's really no house location down there for equipment. We transport it back and forth. So they're still there.
It's why I think we've got a lot of brainstorming to do and try to come up with some creative ideas, and I don't think we're necessarily going to have any kind of a recommendation for the board meeting on the 27th. I think it's just going to be sharing a lot more ideas and stuff. There's some critical
Well, I think,
visions.
right, I think that's what, I think part of the facilities committee is to have, not some recommendations, but have some out-of-the-box options to consider, to explore, and then the full board will make the decision on the next stages in the process. Because, you know, we should have a report back by the focus groups at that time. Now, I get in contact with a person who will be able to do that, and we're probably looking toward the mid-October for the availability of that person to come in and do the focus groups, and it would probably still give us probably a week and a half before that meeting. So I think a lot of things are going to coalesce at that time. Some focus groups information, some facilities information. Scott Jones can be available on the 27th to share some thoughts with the full board on these plans. And again, it's just information gathering. But again, if things have to move quickly, it's better to have the plans now, or the conceptual plans. Time is of the essence. This is, you know, we can't wait 3, 4, 5 months to develop plans and discuss it if we need to do something quickly.
When will we get the numbers that you told us for?
Again, you know, I shared with you what the anticipated that. Whatever building for possible closure, again, almost all the instructional staff goes with students, and there's some support of staff that would not be required because there wouldn't have to be cafeteria, some cleaners, custodians, things of that, secretaries. I can provide that this week.
Instead of just the board voting on who's changing what or where, why can't it be out and let the community vote on it rather than just the board?
They're based on issues.
Referendum.
Because there's a lot of
Exactly.
coffee.
That's what
I think that it should be up to the public to vote. I think that they should know. I don't think that they should just,
I don't totally disagree with you, but SED and everything says that the board can make that
Yeah.
decision, but the public can
and I think they should.
petition and request a referendum.
I
mean,
think
it
they
can, but
should because the
what's
board,
difficult is, first we gotta get our head around what we're really deciding on here, and if it's worth it right now.
right, I agree.
You know, seems to be a big rush here. I'm not hearing any huge numbers, but what I really keep hearing is we're losing $55,000 in revenue that we know we're getting. That's a no.
Well, yes, we are getting the $55,000 in revenue, but we also have to pay for that revenue because that's part of the operational cost of the district. So we pay our wattage share of what that is. So I can do the full calculation because we may get $55,000 in revenue, but to generate that revenue, we pay for both these classrooms all over E2CC BOCES.
So does everyone else.
Right. So we're paying.
So
we're paying for classrooms, our classrooms. So we may generate $50,000. I don't know the number, but we may only generate $50,000 in aid coming back.
And I'd also like to know the history, if Deb can put that together for us,
Yes.
as to our students that have benefited, you know, from being in those rooms, and what the benefit is. Because I can never remember all the different aid applications, but I know, and maybe you know from your time at BOCES, we clearly do not get full aid reimbursement when we have to send a child out to.
Well, I mean,